Okay, a couple of hypothetical scenarios. You're on your way home and you encounter this guy on the side of the road. What do? You help him out. You call paramedics. You do something right away to help, right? Everybody, anybody would do that. How about you see a terrible car accident on the way home from work? What do? You just keep driving? I mean, if you got a cell phone, you make a call. You're going to do something. Everybody, anybody would do something. What are you not going to do? You're not going to worry about that guy before, what he did in the first grade, or who manufactured that car. You're not going to go to the root causes, right? What are we doing with our immigration crisis right now? Kamala Harris has now released her report on what she wants to do about the root causes of the immigration crisis. They are coming in like crazy. A lot of them have COVID. We have no border. Are they thinking about flooding the area with new Border Patrol agents or finishing that wall? Nothing like that. The root causes report is out, and it's as vague and weird and distant and irrelevant as you might think. Part 1 involves addressing economic insecurity and inequality in Central America. Part 3 focuses on promoting respect for human rights, labor rights, and free press. That's great. It's not going to help this situation. And right now, illegal immigrants are being put on buses and being sent to St. Louis and Seattle and all over the country with a note, please appear in court at some later date. This is a ludicrous situation. They're focusing on root causes. They don't want to fix this problem. It's so obvious. But the root causes thing, there's something very Democrat about that. There's something very Joe Biden about that. He knows this is not what America wants. America wants strong borders. Everybody does. This is not unifying. And remember, he promised us he would unify America. You remember.
I pledge to be a president who seeks not to divide, but unify. My whole soul is in this, bringing America together, uniting our people, uniting our nation. Together, we shall write an American story of hope, not fear, of unity, not division, of light, not darkness. We can join forces, stop the shouting, and lower the temperature. For without unity, there is no peace.
All right, it sounds great, but obviously he was lying, obviously. And there is a long and well-established record of Joe Biden not telling the truth. But I never realized how conscious he was of not telling the truth. I mean, sometimes I thought he was just exaggerating or trying to connect. But when he says things like this, he was actively deceiving us when he said things like that. Watch.
If I get elected President of the United States with my position on health care, my position on global warming, my position on foreign policy, my position on the middle class, this will go down as one of the most progressive administrations in American history.
One of the rare times I think he was being straight, and his handlers didn't want him being straight with the American people. Joe Biden was supposed to be middle-class, centrist Joe. That's what was advertised, right? That's what made him palatable. But this left-leaning stuff, this most liberal ever, they wanted that under wraps. And that's why they kept him under the wraps during the campaign. You remember those silly circles? Remember how secluded he was when he was running for the most important office in the world, right? Running for president. And he was coddled. He was protected because they didn't want him talking too much, all right? When he talks, he gets into trouble. It was amazing, though, that he could run for president from his basement. COVID truly was the greatest gift ever for a presidential candidate. Joe Biden exploited it to the hilt. And now that he's not as coddled, now that he's in the hot seat, flashes of Joe, he's just not ready. He's been protected for so long that things get under his skin rather easily.
And you want to check my shape on, let's do push-ups together here, man. Let's run. Let's do whatever you want to do. If you don't understand that, you're in the wrong business. You are such a pain in the neck.
All that stuff. And I know some was during the campaign, but remember, he was supposed to restore civility. This was supposed to be the nice guy. Everything is backwards. I mean, look at these images, right? You tell me, which is horrible and which is beautiful? Apparently, on the left, since it was violence associated with Black Lives Matter, that was just great. January 6th, the worst thing that happened to this country since the War of 1812. You see the inconsistency here. And this week, we saw damn near lunacy at that hearing on Capitol Hill to discuss January 6th and to never bring up Ashley Babbitt, to discuss January 6th and let these officers who serve members of Congress, some of them, speak the way they did with such contempt about politicians. I don't see how they can ever go back to the line of duty.
The indifference shown to my colleagues is disgraceful.
It's pathetic. And they shouldn't be elected official anymore.
Why is telling the truth hard? I guess in this America, it is.
That's all very, very political, but very, very much in line with the culture. I mean, shoot your mouth off, get some attention, and you're sitting pretty, right? How about Andrew Cuomo? Literally sitting pretty. Look at his face. That man has been working on his tan. He is the governor of New York State, and he's counting on all of us forgetting about his issues, his many issues with the nursing home, with women in the office. And guess what? His strategy seems to be working because people are moving on. People can't remember. Meanwhile, he's got a tan, he's smiling, and he's still got that $5 million from that ridiculous book deal that he made in the middle of COVID. While America was shutting down, he was filling his bank account. It is totally ludicrous. Meanwhile, we have our athletes failing us overseas. Maybe that's a little bit harsh, but you know, it's one thing to quit. It's one thing to have a sore knee. It's one thing to get down in the dumps. That happens to people, and that's happened to athletes before. But it's been celebrated. It's been celebrated. Simone Biles not having the mental toughness to compete is being celebrated by the left. What she did was revolutionary. What this teaches our children, a long tradition of stoicism. It goes on and on. The radical courage of Simone Biles. Well, Simone Biles is a quitter, okay? Sorry, but it's true. People quit. It happens. It's not to be celebrated because if we celebrate stuff like this, we do cease to be a country. Sooner or later, we do. What makes us a country? A shared heritage, shared values. And even though it all seems so distant right now, one of those, that shared heritage, I think, revolves around a little bit George Washington, crossing the Delaware, the resilience, the toughness. Maybe the details are kind of, we remember them a bit from school, but George Washington was a good guy, right? And he fought the British against impossible odds. Now, where is George Washington? Literally in the gutter, right? Right? We are losing our country. We're losing it. And you know who's noticing? Our enemies. When everything America is bad, even according to Americans, how vulnerable are we right now to these guys? Say what you will about the Chinese, and I do not like their system at all. They seem to be rather unified. Also brutal and corrupt and all kinds of things, but there's all kinds of unity over there. Right, Joe Biden?
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.